But first today, one of 2FM's top DJs and familiar with children everywhere thanks to his appearances on The Den, Simon Young's career was riding high.
But following the death of his beloved father and the subsequent breakdown of his marriage, Simon began to withdraw, becoming depressed and drinking heavily.
I was sitting at home in my apartment, and I was sitting on my sofa writing a script for a radio show that I was doing at the time. And suddenly, all at once, I've heard it said before, and I've said it before, it was almost like a wave coming over me, you know. And suddenly, all at once, everything hit me, you know. My hands got sweaty, the palms of my hands, my forehead got sweaty, you know, which is a sign of anxiety and, you know, panic attack and stuff like that. So, as I say, my dad had died. The marriage wasn't going too well. I'd been working hectically, you know. I was a very busy jock at the time, you know. So I rang my sister. I told her that I wasn't feeling too well. She brought me to the doctor. The doctor gave me something to relax me, you know. And it's a little bit of a daze after that, but I ended up in hospital.
Simon joins us now. It's very strange for me to be chatting to you because we go back such a long way.
We do, Martin, don't we? We really and truly do.
We go back about 33 years.
Yeah, actually, I could tell you stories about him when he was 15.
And ditto.
Ditto.
Because you worked on a pirate radio station together.
Yeah, we were pirates. You know, a lot of people often ask the question why we were called pirates. It's really because we were robbing the airwaves. That's all we were robbing, you know, and orchards, you know.
That's how we fed.
That was it, you know. And myself and Martin used to pal out or pal together, you know. We were 15.
I was 15 at the time.
Martin was
he was just slightly older, only by a few weeks, I think.
Well, I heard about your little radio that you had.
Oh yeah, that was a crazy thing. In my car, CB radio was kind of out at the time, and I put an external speaker into the grill of it, and we used to drive down the Lear Street and everything, down O'Connell Street, shouting things and saying things, and
frightening the life out of people.
Frightening the life out of people. Yeah. And nobody knew where the sound was coming from, you know.
Yeah. But through crazy. During that time, like, it was very obvious that you had a great comedy streak in you. Because we used to sit down and we just let a tape roll and we do different comedy sketches.
We used to sit in the car together, actually, and we used to listen to these tapes, funny tapes that we would have got from America, you know, Bob Newhart and different people like that. And we'd just break our hearts laughing, you know, and we had so much fun as disc jockeys. Yeah. We were, you know, I think with myself and Martin, really, radio was really our first girlfriend, if you, in a sense, if you know, actually.
And then, of course, things skyrocketed from there. You headed off to 2FM and you became a very famous DJ.
I don't know, well known.
I prefer the word well known.
I prefer the word well known as opposed to famous, you know.
Did you enjoy those days when you are very well known?
I love those days, but I was very busy actually. You know, I was extremely busy as a disc jockey. I was on there. I was doing the beatbox. I was doing Den TV. I was doing Jimmy on the breakfast show.
Up the garden, what was it?
Go on out of that. Get out of that garden.
That was it.
Get out of that garden. Yeah. And a lot of people often ask how that came about. I had a little home studio, and I had my little daughter at the time on my lap, and I had a beginning and I'd have a beginning and a middle, but maybe not an end to my script. You know, I would have two elements of the script. So just in a split second, I just couldn't think of anything to say. The postman Joe was coming up the driveway, and a big bundle of 12-inch singles and albums for me from the record companies, you know. And I just didn't know what to do, and I just banged on the window and shouted, "Get out of that garden!" And Joe's looking at me, and I still don't think he knows that he was the instigator of the whole thing. You know?
But your comedy streak was quite theatrical, and it led you to do plays. And around the time Oh, well, in fact, the day your father died, you were on stage.
Yeah, that's
with
correct.
Mrs. Brown's boys.
That's correct, Martin.
And that really is the catalyst to the slide.
Indeed, you're very right there, Martin. In fact, myself and Dad were very close. You know, you would have met my dad, Martin, and my mum. You'd know them well from years ago. And he'd be eating us out of house and home. And yeah, I was very close to my father. He was a typewriter mechanic. I think that's where my brother Glenn, who's written an awful lot of novels, and I published 2 books as well, and I'm working on
a new book,
yeah, that's with the publishers for next year, and I'm also working because of what I've been through. I was sitting at home, and people may have read this. It was in an interview with Jackie Hayden from Hot Press. I just happened to be talking to him one day, and he said, "Can I go for it? Do the interview? Come on, you know, get off the fence." And I did. I did the interview with Hot Press, and that led to other interviews, to whatever, and I'm here now today.
And Samuel, what is it like? Because everybody knows you, they know your voice, they know your face too from the radio.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, when you're going through such a tough time, and you're, you know, and people recognise you, did that make it more difficult?
A very good question, Ashley. It did, you know, because excuse me. It did make it more difficult because people, when I was in hospital, they'd be coming up, they'd be asking me, who does Zig and Zag and all that kind of stuff. And I'm up to here in the heights of depression because my father had died. My marriage had, had slipped apart, unfortunately, and I was very, very sad about that. That's the way it went. It's not the way I wanted things to go, but sometimes nature takes on a different route, and
What pushed you further on that was that you were missing your children.
Yeah, very much so. I missing them an awful lot, and still do, and because they're 2 beautiful children, they were very well looked after, and I'd have them at home, in the apartment, and then around 7:30, Mum would come and collect them. And then I would be sad about it. I'd be quite sad and kind of,
well, the loneliness
felt in a nowhere land, kind of the loneliness, Martin.
Describe to us one of your darkest days.
Well, one of my darkest days, I think, was, I had a lot of dark days, to be honest with you. Days when I just didn't want to open the curtains, didn't want to open post. I didn't want to answer the phone, that kind of thing, Aisling, and I just kind of didn't want to go there, It was too painful, But a very wise old lady told me that, no matter what, you can't take the pain out of life, no matter what you do, no matter what you do. If you see a lady of the night, or you see a poor guy sleeping on the streets in a thing or whatever, he was born, or she was born with goodness, It's as simple as that. They were born with goodness, but something happened along the way, and
they are in the place
they are in the place, that they are.
You wound up in hospital.
I did, Martin. I spent in total 4.5 years in hospital.
Yeah.
In total,
You were in the psychiatric unit.
I was, yeah.
And when you came back out, you went back again.
I did. I kind of came out, and I kind of dipped my toes in the in the water of life, if you understand.
Yeah.
And I felt quite scared, because in hospital you're in a cocoon. You're looked after. You're being looked well. It was a private hospital. I was well looked after, and that kind of stuff, And I had several illnesses, I got peripheral neuropathy in my legs, which is an illness that doesn't go away, and
what does it mean?
Peripheral neuropathy, Aisling, is basically, it's peripheral on the outskirts. Neuropathy is to do with your nervous system. So it started off basically with a tingling in my toes, and anybody listening, watching now, will understand if they suffer with it, that's how it manifests itself. A tingling in your toes, or a feeling that maybe your feet are gone, your toes are gone to sleep, kind of thing, you know. And then it slowly works up your legs, and you can get quite shaky with it, that kind of thing. You can lose your balance quite easily, you know, and that's peripheral neuropathy for you. So I had that, and I suddenly started getting these, they're called TIAs, transient asthmatic attacks, you know. It took me about 3 months to learn how to say it even, you know. And another 3 to learn how to spell it, you know. Yeah, they're mini strokes in the brain, and they're an indicator that you could have a major stroke, you know, in life. But I also learned in hospital that, and you know, you can turn any corner in a hospital and you'll see somebody worse than you. You will see, unfortunately, somebody much worse than you, you know. And so I took time out, you know. I went on a spiritual journey down to the country for possibly around 9 months or so, to get myself realigned, you know. It is really what the word religion means: get back in line. You're realigned mentally, physically, and spiritually, you know, and like get myself back in order, really, you know. Yeah, it's like pulling into a harbour, and you feel a bit shipwrecked, you know, but you come out and you hopefully sail away, and you're okay, you know.
You were given last rites at one point.
I was twice, Martin. I was given last rites. I was in the ward. I developed a tendency to retain fluid. You'd know, actually, like ladies, if they're having a baby, would retain fluid.
Tell me about it.
Legs. I know.
You have to keep doing that every now and again.
No, rubber legs, you know, marshmallow legs, and so I developed a tendency to retain fluid around my midriff and my legs, and still do. And I at one stage went to just over 27 stone.
Wow.
Which was, you know, sumo wrestler stuff, you know.
But you had to be drained at one stage.
I did. One day the doctor came in, just made a snap decision. One morning I just woke up and he came in, he was feeling my tummy and all that kind of stuff, and he said, no, we have to do it now. We have to do it now. And he got another doctor up. They brought me into the medical room on the ward, and they put each, it's not an operation, it's a plumbing job, that's what I call it, you know. They put an 8-inch needle in on each side of you, and they drained 22 litres of fluid off me.
We're running out of time.
Sure. But that's free, what do you call it, the thing where they drain you off in Blackrock Clinic? I forget the
lymphatic drainage.
Just very quickly, you've written a book, and it's a children's book.
I've written a children's book, Martin. It's with the publishers. We were too late for this season, you know, for the summer season. There's a holiday season and a Christmas season. But I've also written another book. I'm in the process of doing it, and it's almost finished. And it's going to be a little mini book, one of these little mini books. And I am looking for an Irish publisher for it, because the proceeds will eventually go to charity of my choice.
Okay.
And it's called The Little Book of Days, and days is spelled D-A-Z-E.
Okay.
It's for people maybe who are in a bit of a daze, you know, in life. But the great Muhammad Ali said that it's a lack of faith that prevents you from doing things, so believe in yourself. So I had to learn how to believe in myself again.
Well, I'll be surprised if you don't get a publisher for that. Listen, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you, Aisling. Thanks, Martin. Great to see you both.
Good to see you.
Great to see you.
It would be great to hear you back on the radio again.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I wouldn't do a show with you again.
Anyway.
We'd be talking all day, you know.
Now, no